So, thanks everyone again for being here. I'm Priya Menon, and I'm from Indian Women Professionals. I want to start with telling you what I always say at the beginning of every meeting, which is Indian Women Professionals is meant for women like yourselves. It's a group meant for Indian women helping other Indian women with career choices, mentorship, leadership, and entrepreneurship. We aim to influence people to think critically about their career and reaching their fullest potential. I think we Indian women have enormous potential, untapped potential, and we can truly, truly change the world. So, as they say, your network is your net worth, and you are the sum of the five people you spend time with the most. So, the network and the people you spend time with matters. It shapes your opinions, it shapes your ambitions, and inevitably, it shapes your future. So today we're going to be talking with Jyoti Mistry and Nargis Motorwala, whom we spoke to 2 months ago, where we talked about financial wellness and the Indian woman. This time we're actually going to dive in much deeper into different kinds of financial instruments. And with that, we will go ahead and get started with Jyoti. Jyoti, take it away.
Give me a minute. Let me share my screen. Do you see my screen, Priya? So for those who do not know me, my name is Jyoti Mistry, and I am a financial professional helping many families across United States. And my mission is to empower every family, every woman into financial literacy. And today, talking about financial concepts. Finance is a comprehensive word, and it is sometimes categorized into many, like public finance or corporate finance and personal finances. But here I'm going to go over the very basics overview on the personal finances. So sharing on the financial concept, like holistically planning of your finance, considering all aspects of your life and financial situations. So I'm just going to go over a very generic overview of it, how to understand the financial concepts. So here are the 6 important steps to look into for your basic planning. Like, the first is increase cash flow. So, like, if you want to speed up your success, you may want to increase your cash flow or income by adding an additional income. You want to make sure that you are managing your expenses, because increasing cash flow has a lot of things involved in it. Why you want to increase your cash flow? Because you may be going through a lot of other things like adjusting your lifestyle or not able to maintain your regular lifestyle, and what is happening with your life goals, right? So you want to make sure that what is your situation. Then taking care of the debt management. Make sure not to fall under the debt burden that will jeopardize other plannings. But in our demographic, I do not come across many of these in this situation. And then comes the emergency fund. You want to make sure that very important to have at least 3 to 6 months for any rainy day. Because if you don't have it, that's when you need to analyze, hey, what's going on with the income that's coming in. And then you want to take care on the proper protection. Now, proper protection actually is very, very important because that is what is going to make sure that your dollar is protected. Because if you do not protect your dollar, then the whole family is to crumble down. So you want to make sure that you are protecting your dollar by paying 10 cents to yourself. And then if you're talking about building wealth, you want to make sure that keeping in mind the inflation, definitely, because inflation, it's a silent killer. So you want to make sure that you are not outpacing inflation and doing your active money management to build your wealth. Of course, preserving your wealth is very, very important to ensure that all your assets and everything is protected, avoiding probate. So make sure that you are having this while you are planning your financial planning. And when we are talking about your, as you see here, that your needs change over time, right? Would you agree? Like when you're young, our needs are different, and when you are older, our needs are different. So you want to make sure that you're keeping both of these in mind while you're planning your uh, finances, because wealth, at the end of the day, what is wealth? Wealth is not what I accumulate, but what I get to keep. If I may plan to accumulate 5 millions that I'm going to retire with, but how much of that 5 million am I be keeping to myself, right? After all this rate of return, inflation and taxes, what is going to be with me is what the wealth is, not what I'm planning to accumulate. So making sure that we definitely understand how we build our wealth. And of course, when it comes to personal finances, there are so many things that is involved, and there are so many decisions that needs to be made at different times. As family, we all plan to take care of most of the topics, right? Like the investment or the retirement planning or the 401ks or diversifications, kids education. There is so many things that we have to plan for and think about. And there is not any criteria that people follow, what is the first thing to do or what is the second thing to do. So often they get so confused, and they take care of them actually as the need arises. Oh, I need a college planning, let me think about it. Or I'm now in my 40s or now in my 50s, let me think about my retirement plan. A 30-year is not going to think about retirement plan because, oh, it's too far away, I'm too young. So those are the things that you want to keep in mind, that hey, we want to make sure that we are not deciding when the need arises, or if that becomes a hot topic of discussion with friends and family, and hey, let me also do this. So make sure that you are not getting confused and taking proactive decisions. And then I'm talking about the life events, that is expected sequence that happens, right? When we are born, and then we go to college, then we go for find a job. When you are younger, graduated, then we get married, we extend our family, have kids, then we have our first home, we live our life, we grow our money, and then the kids goes off to college, and of course we then plan to retire, and then comes the rest in peace, right? So these are the two main phases when you are young, and when we are getting older. So when you are planning, you want to make sure that you plan these two phases. While you are young, you want to protect your present and plan for your future, for your older days. So you want to make sure that you are planning correctly. Let us understand the challenges of both these phases today. So if there is anything I need to correct, let me correct it today. And then, of course, talking about protecting your present, right? So, hey, Priya, let me ask you, you come from real estate background. So if on one of your land, if I have to buy, build my house, what do you think would be the first thing that would be constructed for my house?
The foundation, of course.
The foundation, right? Like
Yep.
we see here. So,
Yep, absolutely.
right. So you see that the foundation is so strong here and important. Why not if I build a roof first and then the walls and then the windows and then the base, the foundation? What would happen to that house? It would
That
crumble down, right? It will fall apart, right? So exactly. So financial house is no different. You want to make sure that your foundation is so strong, because at the end of the day, if I don't wake up tomorrow to get that dollar, none of the above of the house is going to happen, because if I don't get the dollar, no emergency fund or no investment or no building wealth is going to happen. So how important it is to make sure that my foundation for my family is strong. right? So that is very, very important. Now, how do we look into or protect our financial foundation? So understanding that proper foundation, because we are young, we have a lot of responsibilities and liabilities. So how do I know what is my responsibility and liabilities? So in the financial world, we go with the DIME formula, which is D, that stands for the debt, income, that stands for income replacement, M for mortgage, and E for education, because we in our demographic we feel responsible for our kids' education, right? So I'm just taking a very hypothetical example here. 100K debt for the family if there is a credit card, auto loan, student loan, or whatever that could be, right? And if the income is 100K for the family, I'm going to calculate 10 times to make sure that the family is protected. Of course, the mortgage, I've taken a very conservative number, 400K, and 200 for the two kids in Austin, which is 25K right now. Now it would be different from a different state or different universities, right? But just looking at this scenario, I'm looking at total of 1.7 million financial responsibility today, right? Now, what if any life event happens? Now, do I have this kind of money while we are still young and growing the money with us? No, we do not have that kind of money. And that needs to be protected. What I'm talking about, the proper protection, we want to make sure that proper protection planning is done now and calculated one, because I don't want, okay, let me protect me for 2 million or 5 million or whatever that is. I want to make sure that I'm not overprotected or underprotected. So how many people do we know that have actually proper protection? So making sure that we are educating families and making sure that you have a calculated responsibility taken care of should help them make the right decision. And how important is that? And building wealth with responsibility. And since we are talking about proper protection, something very close to me, I'm just going to highlight these right now, just because, talking about proper protection, this definitely bothers me a lot. Because of lack of proper protection not done for probably various reasons, maybe lack of knowledge or hardship or procrastination or any other reason, whatever that could be. But this is, giving a GoFundMe, a big highlight, especially in our demographic. And it is very sad, but definitely true. So there are many other organizations also doing this, So what does that tell us? We need to educate more families and help them avoid this digital begging. How can we help them? This information needs to go out to every family and educate them. And this is actually one of the reasons why I'm more passionate about educating and bringing family financial literacy to every house. This is one of the main reason. And since we were talking about it, I just wanted to bring attention to this. Right? And now, what if I live too long, right? I'm talking about retirement, how to properly plan for my retirement. Now, of course, these are the vehicles usually we use for our retirement planning, like 401ks, IRAs, stocks, mutual funds, and so on and so forth. But hey, the few questions that I need to ask is, when do I want to retire? I mean, when I'm talking about retire is when do I want to financially retire, right? Or how much do I need in retirement? How will market risks affect my retirement? Or will I pay any taxes during retirement? What is the impact of taxes during retirement? Of course, retirement is not a gamble. Now, without proper planning, we are gambling with our retirement now. This is mandatory. Retirement is mandatory. I cannot just go and walk into a bank and say, hey, I have retired today. My retirement goal is 2 million. Can I get a loan for 2 million? No, it doesn't happen that way. So you want to make sure that you are strategically planning, keeping all these aspects in mind while you're planning for retirement. Be certain in uncertain times. Very, very important. And so how would you like your money to grow, right? Nothing is good or bad. Every way is a good way. There is nothing like one better than the other. But again, you're talking about fixed investments. Nothing wrong. It is safe and slow growth. People who are looking for safety definitely go for fixed income. Investments. Nothing wrong with that. Then comes the variable, which is high risk, high reward. America will never disappoint you if you know when to wait. And we have one of our expert on this market, Sachi, will be talking and highlighting more information onto this market, right? But it only depends on the person's age and his risk appetite. A person in the 30s and 40s versus person who are in the 60s. So they may not have that risk appetite, right? But the third one is the index contracts. That actually gives the best of the both world. What it does is it locks in your gains and do not participate in the down market, which is very powerful information. Now, like I said, every way is a great way to invest your money. Just make sure that you know your age, time horizon, and your risk appetite, so that you can invest them in the right way. Just having a diversified way of your growth, depending on your risk, is really advisable. And then, of course, you're talking about, we have seen this, market goes into corrections every 8 to 10 years. Now, everything changes at age 65. 2000 or 2008 happens when I am age 65. Right? When I came, I think 24 years back, I came in 2000. So I got to see 2002 and 2008, though at that time I had no understanding of what it meant by market is down or something. I had no clue until I got educated myself now what it means and how it is jeopardizing my retirement planning. So it is very important to understand that, to keep this into your consideration. And then, of course, then comes the taxes. Taxes is one really good thing that you need to consider. And this I come across every day while I'm talking to a family that, hey, I won't have any income, so I will be in the lower tax bracket. But hello, what is the distribution that you are going to collect during that time for your lifetime vacation? Right? Retirement, your 401ks, IRAs, and real estate rentals, and social security, all this distribution withdrawals that you are going to do is going to put you into a higher tax bracket. But again, remember, if your tax bracket, if your withdrawals are more than 44,000, then even your social security is going to be taxed 85%. So how are you going to plan to withdraw the money to be under 44,000? Right? So you want to make sure that you have really planned it in a strategically way and know exactly what you're doing. Now, talking about taxes, let me take you to the history of America, right? So tax laws keep changing. And if I'm looking at the 100 years of history of America, if you see here, since 1917 to 1981, we were into the highest tax brackets, right? Why did that happen? Now, whenever America went into problem, we became the victim of paying higher taxes. Now, would you rather pay tax now, or would you rather pay tax later? Or what if history repeats again, right? That is why it is very important to diversify taxes. And of course, look at this, America having the great problem of national debt, 35 trillion, and in the last decade only it increased 12 trillion. Now, what is going to happen when I'm going to retire? If that tax is going to increase or lower, right? So keep that in mind when you're talking or thinking about it or planning about it. And I'm just going to go over this again while I'm talking about taxes. These are the different types of tax buckets that we do have. I'm not going to go into detail into these, but we have this tax now, tax deferred and tax free. Every bucket is good. as long as you are balancing, having the right balance. How much of my portfolio is in the tax or tax deferred? If my heavily portfolio is into a tax deferred, then what's going to happen, right? Or do I have anything in the tax free bucket? So let me have a balanced portfolio, which is really very important. So understand the tax buckets. If you have any questions, please reach out to me if you need me to go into detail. And of course, here the disability. I want to make sure that we consider this in our retirement portfolio because we don't want to lose our wealth over health. Now, if you see here, of course, we have the group benefits from our job and work and all of that, but that is until you are working, right? And as you know, there is no age for disability. So what is the backup that I may need, right? Can I really afford long-term care? If you look at here, the statistics, 80% of the retirees lack enough in savings to pay for 2 years of their care in nursing home or even 4 years in assisted living. Now, what is that going to do? What is going to do to my retirement that I have planned, right? So let me explain how, right? So if we become disabled, our income stops, first of all. Then we need to more money because the responsibility is going on. And then we need money to pay for the medical needs. Where is this money coming from? From our savings, from our 401ks, right? And that is one of the main reasons why people file for bankruptcy. So very important to take into consideration. And of course, lastly, I'm going to go over the law of the land. Make sure that you have the estate planning taken into place. Make sure that you have bypassing probate, protecting your minor children from going to the foster home, legacy transfer, and more. So if you take care of all of these four, to summarize it all, while you are young, you have protected your family. While you are retiring, you have planned correctly for retirement. You are also taking care of disability and done your estate planning. So all of these four quadrants are taken care of, then your financial X curve is definitely taken care of. You are definitely protected in any way. So that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for listening to me. And yes, reach out to me for any questions you may have.
That was fantastic, Jyoti. There's like a sea of information on each slide there, and I think what was very clearly demonstrated is the importance of understanding our own financials and what our plans are. And there's so many different places where we need to really put our focus. So guys, I hope you got great information from this. And Jyoti is always available. She's a great friend, and she has a wealth of. She's really a treasure trove of information. So make use of, the wealth that's in her head. Actually, make use of all her wisdom and experience. Now, without further ado, we're going to dive into just the stock market. Like I promised, we're going to dive into. Jyoti gave us an overview of different types of things we have to consider when considering our finances. And now Nargis is going to just focus on the stock portion of it. And Nargis is another magician. So take it away, Nargis.
Hey, hi everyone. How are you? And happy holidays since we are in that season. So let me share my desktop and let me know if you can see my screen. Can you see Priya, Jyoti?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is my Twitter handle, and this is where you can reach me, and this is my website. If that's where if you can go and check it out and everything. The main thing, the reason I started with this Twitter page is it's not just my profile, but it's a wealth of information, not from me, but from x.com, from this x.com itself. Now, the way Elon Musk has taken over, this has become your prime news information. You can get information here for any subject. It doesn't have to be stock market. It doesn't have to be finance. You could get your field related information here. You go here and you search anything, you'll get everything out there. So And for example, many people use news as to get their information regarding the stock market, what is going. It's Bloomberg, it's CNN, it's Fox, it's that guy. What's that name? With the hammer, which comes on TV, Jim Cramer. Right? So people watch that show. He's also very popular. But if you come here and if you do Jim Cramer, you will see here you will see him here as well. And you subscribe to him, get a notification, everything will come to you. And the other one is Bloomberg. So Bloomberg is right here. You follow him and you put notification on, and the news is so fast that immediately as it is happening, you will get that information right away. So when you get up, when you wake up, and if this is some area of interest, you have been looking at stock markets or you're interested in doing that, then what you can do is go to Twitter. Some notifications would have come. You're having your morning coffee, just scroll about and see what's going on in our all market. And now, since we're going to have Trump as our president, he is super active on Twitter, and you will see him tweeting away. And the good thing about it is, stock market likes Trump, right? Or rather, he's connected very well with the stock market. So the moment I don't know what happened. Is my internet on or something is not working? Why is it? Something is not right. Oh, it's coming. Yeah. So Donald Trump is there. So, he'll talk about everything. The moment he says anything about, hey, Bitcoin is this and that, you will see immediate reactions happening. So if you follow him and you subscribe to him, you will immediately get it. So instead of going to some other site and getting it, you are, getting your first-hand information right here. Now, having said that, what Jyoti explained, there are different kind of instruments to put in your money, and from a few years, at least from COVID time, stock market is one of the main places where people are looking into putting the money in, or other people have made very good gains because the way stock market has run up, and the kind of stocks which have run up, so people have made some very very good gains in them. Your Let's go here. So this is your S&P 500, right? So SPY is the ETF where you can go in your 401k, in your Roth, and any other instruments. You will find this SPY. You will also find in your Vanguard and other VOO, and a lot of things will be there, which will help you invest in SPY, or it will help you invest in Nasdaq as well, right? So these are your main indexes, which represents what the market is. So between QQQ and SPY, most of your companies are covered, right? For example, if now let me start a little bit basic from here. What is a stock market? It's where the public trading company is allowing other people to buy a certain amount of share in their company, basically. So you go and you buy some Apple shares because you think Apple has great products. Fundamentally, it's a very good company. You'll go and buy the shares will be available to purchase, and let's say you bought 100 shares at $100, and you think the company is going to do well, and fast forward 5 years, the stock is $250, so you made 150. So the bet you made on that company, that Apple will rise into a certain amount because it is offering me this. It's just like purchasing a house, right? You Let's say you are in Bay Area, and Bay Area housing is, everybody knows, it's neck to neck, quite high priced. And let's say when 2000 happened, and at that time, 2010, 11, you bought a house thinking that, okay, you know what, it's already down, let me go purchase it. And fast forward, after 10 years, the prices have doubled or more than doubled, right? So the stock market is also exactly like that. You look forward in future with the assumption that whatever that entity is presenting to you is going to grow as time goes by, right? Now, it can be looked in two ways. One is the company fundamentally is doing very well, and over time it will be in profit, right? Whatever guidance they give and everything, the business is going to be good and the profit will increase. The other is the stock price itself. For example, let us see Tesla, right? Now Tesla is at $436, but it went up and it came down to $100, right? When it was at $100, people were panicking, saying, "Oh my God, Tesla is dying," and this and that. And then people were not having too much faith in Elon Musk, in the electric car itself. But there were few people who said, "You know what, I'm going to invest in Tesla because I feel $100 is a good price," right? So they bought few shares of $100 and they kept it over time. So this was in January 2023, and now we are end of 2024. So that's exactly 2 years. It was $100. Today is 436. So that is 1:3 profit you are getting here. So this is how uh, your stock. Oops, where did my screen go, guys? Are you still seeing the screen? Oh yeah. So this is how your stock market works. You're, you invest money in good fundamental companies. You have some done research on their product. You know the balance sheet, what money they have, how is the CEO, how are they spending the money, what is what are the different metrics you're supposed to watch. All of them are good. Then you come at the stock price. Now suppose everybody is talking, hey, Tesla is very good, it's going up. Now you come here and you want to buy this at $436. Now, would that be a good investment right now, exactly at this point? Now, if you're looking at a out in time, it could be probably yes. Because the Tesla price can go up, it can go to 1,000 also, it can go to 600 also. It can be a good investment. But the question is, should you do it right at this minute? Okay. And if you were to ask me, I would say no. I would say for investment purposes, wait, because when a stock has moved so much, see, October it was 200, 214 it was, and in 1 month it has moved 200 points. It is a very fast move. It's a straight line. Almost at a 45-degree angle, it has moved very fast. So if you were to invest here, and let's say, and if your stock then falls here, then you would be panicking. Oh my God. And Tesla is a volatile stock. A volatile stock means it gives you fast move and it gives you big moves. And both sides, upside also, downside also. So you bought it 436, but after you bought it, it fell down here, then you would panic because your investment is down and it is down a considerable percentage. So what are you going to do? A lot of people get afraid, and most of their stop losses, if you have a stop loss, then it would get triggered and you would be out of your investment because your risk was triggered. Once your risk is triggered, you get out. Or if there is a panic in the market, when everybody is selling, then you automatically go and sell and you say, hey, my God, you know what? Some people will be saying, hey, I booked profit on Tesla for 300 points, and you would be saying, I lost 100 points on it. So then that's the reason you have to wait to get in at the right time. See, investment also means getting in at the right time in the right companies for the right price. That is maximizing your dollar to give you the best returns. Most of the people get into stock market generally at the wrong time, and that's when people get panicked and they say, you know what, stock market is either very difficult, or I never made money in it, I don't know how people made money on it, and I always burn my fingers, or I'm a bag holder. Bag holder is a term where it is used that you bought Tesla at 400 and now it is 200. Now you cannot exit out because 200 is a very big loss. So you are waiting for it to go back to your buy price. What happens is the moment it comes to a break even, people exit. And then the stock launches higher, and you think it was just waiting for me to exit, and now it is going up. So the learning here is timing. And what I do here is I don't do technical analysis, I don't do fundamental analysis, I only do time cycles. I time the market when it is going to move down or when it is going to move up on indexes, on your equities, on your bonds, on your forex, currencies basically, and also on the macros and economies. Now, stock market is a byproduct of your macro and your economy, right? You may not see the effect right away or immediately on the economies because it is a delayed product. Like, for example, inflation is there, high interest rates are there. And so, if you go and buy a home today at interest rate of 6% or 7%, and the Fed goes and cuts the rate, what happens to the home price, right? The shift, you will see the shift because what happened in 2007, the interest rates are very high, then they cut the interest rates, and then the market started to after some time, not immediately, the market crashes after that basically. Generally it pulls back really bad, and then after that the market picks up, and the home pricing also goes up. So now if people are buying at higher prices, how does your inflation work? For example, the advertised inflation by the government is generally 3% or 4% right now, but the real inflation would be around 10% or 12%, which means the salaries which you are making is not enough to cover the expenses of day to day life or also for investment purposes as well, because everything is rising. So the one way to combat is make smart decisions in order to make your dollar worth your time and your inflation fight. So one of the things which is, there are many instruments people can do. People can do fixed deposit, people can do 401k, you can do your Roth, you can do, investments in housing, you can buy some properties, then you rent them out and all that. But everything is a risk to inflation, right? And you can invest in the stock market as well and, see how it goes. Now, part of it, a good smart investor would be which puts his investment in diversified instruments, and they have housing, they have bonds, they have what do you call other instruments, and then they have stock market as well. uh, if you have if you're working in a Fortune 500 company and your company gives you stocks, if they give you RSUs, then that also needs to be managed. Now, if for example, I was giving one example is, the Broadcom. My husband joined Broadcom, and when he joined, the day he joined, December 1, the stock was at 163. Okay, and I was saying, hey, can you ask your HR if they can lock your price now, because I know that Broadcom is going to go up, right? This is Broadcom, right? So he joined somewhere here, and I was saying, like, can you ask? I said, no, I think their lock-in price is around December 18 or something. And I said, it has earnings, right? If there is earnings, then the stock can move. Either it will move up, or it will move down, or it will stay stagnant, meaning no price move. And after that, it will decide whether it wants to go and up. Now, luckily for Broadcom, the earnings were pretty good, and I had predicted a price of 225, and it hit 228, right? So what happens here is, when my husband will get his stocks assigned to him, the price would be somewhere here. If he was assigned here, he would already be 50 bucks up. Now it's his bad luck that he'll get the stock at a higher price. All this is relative because we have seen the joining around here and this is there. But what if the market is still good and it goes to 300? He would still make money. Now, if you are having ESPP or if you are having RSUs given by your companies, and you would say, hey, when do I sell them? Right? So that's also an important decision, because if you people generally say, hey, I don't need my money, so I'm going to just keep it. Right? So let's say it was Tesla, right? And you said, hey, I don't need the money and I'm going to keep it. And people here still kept it at 400. Now it came all the way down here to 100. So all the ESPPs, all the RSUs were very down underwater, right? And that's when I generally say, when the cycle is completing and it is timed, I advise my people, hey, you know what? It would be a good idea to, you know, at least have a stop loss on your equity position, so that in case the cycle reacts to the downside, you are protected. So if not here, have a stop loss here, so that at least some gains you are going to get out of it. So let's say if you exited out here and Tesla fell here, you can use all that money back to buy back here and let it ride up, and you're again above your original price. So if you continued here, then you have to wait out this whole period, then wait out it going back up, and then you will get a breath of relief, thinking that, okay, now my stock is up. But if you had done here, exit here, bought back here, you would already made a big amount of money. And then, as you were talking about your retirement, your disabilities, everything, this is how you build wealth. This is staying here is what you called as being a bag holder and not letting your dollar work for you in a proper way. Now, there is no harm in keeping it here. If you don't need the money, you keep it here, it doesn't matter. But if you are a person who is actively involved in generating wealth, that's when you go and, work this way, the way I was showing. The other stock which people are very strongly looking is Nvidia. A lot of people made a lot of money on this. It was a meme. Pre-split around 400, or let's say around 32, 37. I had predicted a cycle going to 700. That was around 400. The first stock was mid-cycle was 700. Full cycle was 1150. And that's where it went. It went all the way till 1150 right here. And then it pulled back here. So this is how generally, you go and the stocks and make wealth for yourself. The whole idea is be aware of what's happening in the markets. Go to, this one of your best information tool. There are many, many very good traders you will find here. There is financial juice as well. This will also give you these people, these big accounts, they post news and information as it is happening. So you get the first time information right away. So this is what I do. And if you're interested, you could look me up at this handle and look at my work and see how I predict the stock market or the stock prices, the bottom. I generally specialize in marking the tops and bottoms of a stock or of the market, and it is all based on timing. So that was it, and I hope it made some sense. I know initially it doesn't make sense looking at some weird candle, green, red, and talking about. So that's why I didn't go into timing or anything. Just talked about those two stocks, which I know people are highly interested. If not you, then your husbands must be doing them. So ask them, why did they bought that stock at a certain price, and why are they still holding, and when do they plan to sell? So this would be your homework to start off, and then you can start talking about it and come to these platforms and seeing what information you can find. So that's about it, and back to Priya.
Thank you so much, Nargis. I think that was very, very eye-opening because despite me being in this industry, I have also bought and sold ESPP and RSUs and things. But even then, I don't think I quite understood what I was doing while doing it. Like you kind of decide, okay, the stock is high, let's just sell it, get some money, and then you don't think anymore about that. But this was very, very eye-opening. So thank you. And guys, again, like I said, Jyoti is available for consultation. Nargis is also available. I think you have even a trading room, right, Nargis?
Yes, I do have.
Yeah, so I would say, guys, make use of the help that these folks can give you. These are professionals, and I think we all need to kind of educate ourselves. There's no getting out of it. There's no putting our heads into the, like, being like an ostrich and putting our heads into the sand. And this is yet another avenue for making wealth. We talked about the different ways of creating wealth and why it is important to diversify. And Nargis talked about the stock market, and now I'm going to talk about a much more sort of a slower way of creating wealth. It doesn't have to be slow, but land is basically the way that generations of wealth has been built. All the very, very rich people in the world, they hold land, and that's how they become powerful. That's how they over generations have created wealth using land. Now, what I'm going to talk about is not about just buying land, holding land, which is still an excellent strategy. But what I'm going to talk about is a much more short-term strategy, different kinds of instruments that we can use to create wealth with land, right? And this is different. Land is a very niche area. Especially what I'm going to talk about is a very niche area. But again, I'm also available for you guys to consult with you guys anytime you want. So my company is Good American Lands. I'm not going to go in over our goals, our mission, but we are providing three types of investments: transactional funding, hard money loans, and land notes. And basically, what I'm going to talk about is these three types of investments. So the first one is hard money loans, and this is very simple. Basically, these are loans that you're basically giving someone a loan, right? It's like you would take a loan up from a credit card. Similarly, you're giving someone a loan. And in our world, in the world of land investment, when you lend someone money, you have a security, which is that you have the land as a security. For example, there's someone who wants to purchase a parcel of land, and let's say that they want to purchase a 10-acre parcel of land, and they want to divide it. They want to subdivide it and into 10 units. Just for simplicity, they want it subdivided into 10 units and sell each parcel individually, right? For that, they need to purchase the land first, and that is where an investor like you would come in. So you would put in the money, you would help them to buy the land, and they would have that particular parcel of land as a security. And after they have subdivided and sold off the properties, you will get your money back with a good interest rate, typically 12 to 14%, in some cases much higher percentage as well. But we are talking about high interest rate loans. But unlike in many other industries, in the rehab industry, people do the same thing in the rehab industry, where they buy houses and they rehab it and they sell it, and then you get paid back with a hard money loan. In this case, you are not talking about rehabbing a house. So when you get the property back, you're still probably going to get it in the same way that it was, because this is a security. The security is the land. And if you have a 10-acre parcel of land, you subdivide it, and then if you have to foreclose on the loan, the land is still the same. Nothing has changed. So there is not as much risk as if you were to do if you were to do a rehab, because if you were to buy a house for rehab and then nothing was done, and you still have a house on your hand, which is which is not in a good shape. Whereas when it's land, it's still the same as when you bought it, right? And the time frame for these loans is typically like 3 months, 2 years. Typically, these are the time frames. You could have a lot longer or a shorter time frame as well, but this is the simplest kind of hard money loan. And it's easier to understand. And when it's these interest rates are typically annualized, so which means like 14% a year. So if it's a shorter loan, like a 3-month loan, then you would take 14% divided by 12, that many percentages for the 3 months. Like I said, the collateral is important. We don't do non-secured loans, and I would recommend you don't do non-secured loans. You want to have a secured loan. So in our case, we also try to mitigate the risk by having collateral and by vetting the parties whom we are lending the money to, whom you would be lending the money to. So this is one way of making hard money loans, of making money by doing hard money loans. Now, the second one is, this is probably one of my favorite ways of making money. It's called mailbox money. Okay, so it's exactly the same as a mortgage. So, for example, if you take a mortgage on a property, or if you buy a car and you're paying a loan on a car month after month, what you're doing is you are paying the loan with interest to whoever it was that lent you the money, whether it was a bank or whether it was a private lender. In this case, you are the one who is providing the money. So you are the bank. You're giving the mortgage, except that in this case, you're giving the mortgage for someone to purchase land, right? And the loan gets paid back to you with a good interest rate over a few years. And again, it can typically be 9%, 10%, 12%, and it is done over a few years. And the nice thing is it's mailbox money. You do nothing, okay? You have nothing to be done. The collateral is in the land. If the person who is trying to get the mortgage or whom you lend the money to does not pay you or stops paying, what you can do is you can foreclose and you can get the land back. And when you get the land back, you get the opportunity to sell it again. And so you've already got all the money that you have been paid as mortgage. And then when you sell it again, you are basically have the ability to get money for the same parcel of land all over again. Now, again, with the caveat that it is not a good idea to, with the caveat that you don't want to put people in a bad position where the idea of the business is to enable someone to use their land and for you to get your mailbox money. It's not a strategy to kick them out of the land as soon as they miss the first payment, right? You don't want to do that. You want to still be kind and let people make it possible for them to purchase the money of the land of their dreams and do whatever they want with their land. So again, we still want to be kind. We're not trying to foreclose on them as soon as they default on one loan. But at the end of the day, most people are interested in buying. When they buy land, they are interested. It's usually because it's a property of their dreams, and people just want a place to live, and that's the kind of person who buys land and either puts a mobile home there or tries to build a home there and live on the land. So, but again, the nice thing about it is that the money shows up in your bank account month after month after month after month. And I've had multiple of these happen with me where I'm basically getting mailbox money. So it's a nice way to make money, basically. And the next one, which is called transactional funding. Now, this is actually another very good way of making money. Again, very, very, lesser known, very, very niche area. Some people call it a bridge loan, but in land investing, we call it transactional funding because basically it is enabling a transaction to happen. And in order to understand this, I'm going to go through the basics of how the land investing business, how we actually buy and sell land. So you have a seller, okay, and in this case, I'm giving Good American Lands, which is our company, as the middleman here, or the person who is buying and the person who's selling. So you have a seller. So Good American Lands will identify off-market land across the U.S. Okay, so we're identifying land that's not listed. And we contact the sellers and we tell the sellers we want to buy your property, and we get the property under contract. So we have a contract, we say, hey, we're going to buy your property. And then once we have it under contract, we also market the property. We have the permission of the seller to market the property, and we try and identify a buyer, right? So now that we've identified a buyer, we need to close. And so this is called A to B and B to C. So the A to B is where our company has to buy the property from the seller, and B2C is where we are selling to the buyer. Now, for the A to B to happen, I might need some money. Let's say I'm buying the property for $5,000, right? Let's say it's an acre of land somewhere in Utah, and I'm buying an acre of land for $5,000. And I found a buyer who wants to buy it, for $20,000. Now, I don't have $5,000, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to borrow $5,000 and basically close with the seller. So I buy the land is in my name now, and I'm going to say, so I've borrowed $5,000, and now I need to sell the property. To sell the property, in between that, because I'm borrowing the 5,000, that money is borrowed in a transactional funding deal, which means that, say, I'm going to borrow it from my friend Jyoti, right? So Jyoti gives me that for 2 days, and she gives me $5,000, and I'm saying I'll give her 4% interest. And so I bought this on Monday, and on Tuesday, I sell it. So Jyoti gets 4% of 5,000 for 1 day, right? That is a good investment for Jyoti, because she is going to get 4% of $5,000 for lending me the money for 1 day. And because of this, the seller is happy, they got what they wanted. Jyoti's happy, she got her 4% interest. The buyer is happy because they're buying something off market for a great deal. And I'm happy because I got to make some money in between. So that is how transactional funding works. We can, I won't go into the details of all of this because it's a lot to read. So basically, if you can basically make some money with allowing the transaction to happen, the A to B and the B to C transaction, right? So it's a great investment opportunity, very short timeline, and very low risk, because we are going to send the money to the seller only when we are absolutely sure that the buyer is actually going to buy the property, that they've actually put money down to buy the property, right? And so let's say there is a default. The buyer decides not to buy. In that case, the interest rate for you, the investor, the interest rate would be, like, say, first 7 days, 2.5%. Every additional week, you would get an additional percentage as a late penalty, which makes it really interesting for the investor. So those are some of the ways in which you can make money with land without actually having to buy the land. So purchase of land is not the only way in which you make money through land. You can lend for the purchase of land and make money with good interest rate and in short term, and dealing person to person, because everybody has a different appetite. Some people like to deal person to person. Some people like all the math and all the formulas and looking at numbers and things like that. So that is, I guess, what I wanted to present with land investment. Now we have some time for questions. Questions, anyone? or did everything kind of was it too technical, I would say?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Vasu.
No, I said it was technical. Somebody else has a question, I think.
Sorry, I know somebody.
Yeah, I have a question on the stock. Hey, Nargis, I think regarding the stock when you are talking about Tesla, right? Like buying at 100 all the way when it is reaching the top, and have a stop loss at the 300 so that you, I mean, you take the profit and then rebuy again. How do you see
Yeah.
this approach over the dollar cost average? Like once it reaches 400 and then it reaches 300, you tend slowly you buy, and yeah, if it grows back then you are going to get it as a compound, right? How do you
Yeah.
see in two different
So
approaches?
dollar cost averaging works well only if it is a real good company, right? For example, it's Apple. I'm just saying Apple doesn't mean it's Apple, but the fundamentally good companies who have good products and they're going to stay there, even if the markets have cycles. They go up, they go down every 10 years, you will see it. Now, based on where you are in your life, let's say you're in your 30s, you still have time to see another two cycles. But if you are above 40 or closer to 40 or closer to 50, then you may not have enough time towards your retirement to see all that down and to see all that come back up, right? So those things those are the things which should drive your DCA, dollar cost
Okay,
average, right?
got it. Yeah.
And that helps. But if it is another company which is, it's always good to take a loss at 3% and then you go back in, then you may make up another 20%. So your 3% loss is not only covered, it your capital is also covered. See, the whole point in being in the stock market is rule number one: always protect your capital. You are in the game as long as your capital is there. You lost your capital, you're out of the game. It doesn't matter whether the stock is going then, right? And number two, protect your profits, right? Generally, people are very scared about taking profits for tax purposes, right?
Mm.
Oh, I'm going to pay so much tax because, I made so much money. But what I say is, don't be afraid of paying the taxes, right? You've already made some money based on whatever your tax bracket. Your CPA can always figure it out how to maximize your tax gain, or avoiding that much tax. But if you had taken some profit out and you have tax, then that money you can always use to put in back again. The stock market is very fast from past few years, so the returns are faster. If you are
Yeah.
planning to stay in for 1 year thinking about capital gains, your profit would just poof out as well at that time. You don't know what 2025 is going to bring after March, what is going to happen. So if you're going to stay in longer, chances are whatever 100% or 60% or 70% you made on a good bet, which you did now, it could vanish. And your DCA will not help because the stock market is running on time cycles. It's not running your traditional way of fundamental staircase. It's not running on your traditional technical analysis where it would take 3 to 5 years for a stock to reach 25% gain. It is reaching 300% gain in 1 year or 1.5 years. So if you go and, I just had my recent interview, and if you go in my pinned tweet, a lot of information is there. My pinned tweet will have a link to all of my interviews and my analysis. So we are already in the mid cycle. Now there are two ways I see it is we'll see a little bit of melt up in 2025, and then we get a good correction. And after that, the cycle may complete, or for now, this would be it. So either case, I am preparing my people to collect some hedges along the way as they go, and also to
Mhm.
take profits along the way they go. Like in 2020, I'd asked all of them to, exit the market, their 401ks even. Some people have exited the 401ks even, and then they were thankful when 2020 happened or 2021 happened. And after that, when the stock market bottomed, I said, you just go and sell your first bond and go into the stock market. And now they're all happy. People bought houses and everything. So it's about, more importantly, it's about timing and the belief system that yes, what you're see, once you've bought a stock, you have to monitor it for the risk. But once you have sold the stock, then that's it. You have to forget the transaction, because the stock may continue to keep going up or it may go down or whatever it is, but you have booked your transaction, right? You have completed your journey around that. Now in the same stock, you'll look to have a new journey.
No?
It
Oh,
doesn't
okay.
matter. It is index, it currencies. I do Indian markets also. I do European markets also.
You mentioned that the stock market does not work on traditional, in the step fashion, or does not work on technical analysis. The technical analysis basically doesn't work for the stock market anymore. And that stocks are, changing prices very rapidly, whether it's up or down. Now, is
Yes.
that a new trend, or is that
Yes.
something that, so it is a new trend. It's not something that has been
It's
historically
it's
there.
not a new trend. I started noticing in 2016 and 2018. I was convinced that something has changed in the market. And I don't know how my journey got me into this exploration, or it was my natural calling. I got into a study where your stock market is exactly programmed to what I do.
Say that
So that's so the way the stock market is programmed now, the way it is supposed to function, I do that exact same study. And that's why my timing is, it matches exactly the way the stock is behaving. If I say the, S&P is going to hit at 6085 and it's going to pull back from there, it does that. Because now me and the stock market algorithms are in sync. We both are doing
you
the
have
same thing.
foresight. You kind of have a foresight into, you have a
No, so the people who have programmed the stock market, the US stock market was the last to program. The first was the European market, then the Indian markets, the Asian markets, and now the US stock market are programmed to that time cycles. So luckily, I do the same time cycles
I see.
as well, time and price cycles. So
So you're seeing a very good, you're seeing a very good adherence to the time cycles.
yes, oh yes, it is. It's a very perfect. So the way I calculate the stock price, sometimes it may sound like a silly, a riddle, but that's how it is done. It is so easy and it's done right out in front that we think, okay, how is it possible? So this is how they have done it. The marker is put in when the stock is, let's say, 2 years before, and then it goes and hits that. So the markers are put in, like for example, you create your, when you're born, you create your horoscope. So they say, hey, by 18 years of age, something like this will happen, or he'll take a turn to do this or that. It's exactly like that. So 2 years before, the marker has been put in Tesla to behave this way.
Wow.
And your mathematics, Fibonacci we have learned in schools, but they never told us where to
Yeah.
use it.
Yeah.
So the Fibonacci extension would come right at that price, particularly after 2 years. And you would be surprised, oh my God, this is such a beautiful math. So if you love a little bit of math and you're good at it, you'll enjoy this.
That's very interesting. That's very, very
Yeah.
interesting. And we are all
Yes,
like,
yes.
I mean, a lot of us are like math people, right? We like
Yeah,
math.
yeah. Indian
enjoy
JC
math.
people are all math people. I know we are hammering our kids also to be math, but there are so many choices out there today. But what I feel is it's very interesting. So I go out there and my enthusiasm is always very good to go and see. I myself get surprised. I predict that, then I get surprised. Oh my God, it actually happened, because the math is so beautiful behind it that I myself, feel such a great pleasure inside doing that. And when some of my clients say, "Hey, Nargis, I made, ABGO," some person made $50,000, and that day itself, and it was like, "Hey, Nargis, it's so beautiful. What you said, it happened, and I believed in you, and I did it, and I've made $50,000 profit today." And I'm sending you a token gift of $2,000, and I was like, "Oh my God, people are actually making real money, big money." you should always do options on liquid stocks. Like for example, your S&P SPY I showed you, QQQ, they are highly liquid. They go in cent to cent. The bid and the ask is always cent to cent. So your
I see.
getting in is easier, your exiting out is easier. And number one, if you're new to stock, I would only do buy call or buy put. I wouldn't do more complex option. And I would look and start booking profit at 10% or 20% initially. And then also the loss would be similarly. Think always by minimum 1 month time, right? Because even if your idea was, okay, tomorrow I will exit, buy time. Okay, because since you're new, you don't see options are nothing but the time instrument designed against you, right? And it's very important to know when to enter. The option game is timing when to enter. If you entered and the stock didn't fire, your options is going down and down and down and ultimately zero, right? It doesn't happen with your stock. If you bought a stock, with time, it doesn't change the value. The Tesla stock is not moving. It is $100. It will be $100 after 10 days also, and you will still own it. But options, it will be zero 10th day. So it's very important to, buy time, when to enter, if it is firing at that time or not.
It's a more risky thing
Yes.
that you're trying with the
Yes.
options.
I do post on my feed options also, and I primarily do options trading. I do complex option tradings, credit selling as well, butterflies, jade lizards, everything I do. And people who don't do options, they do the stocks. So we do commons, and then we attach a collar during the earnings season. And then we do credit selling as well based on, if the stock is going to move up, you also sell puts to maximize your gain out of it, all those things. So basically, desi people are jugado people. You can do multiple things with, with a certain thing, because our mind works like that. So if you can spend time and if you're interested, if this is your area of interest, then you can do wonders. You can do a lot of stuff, provided you are disciplined. If you're not disciplined, I would say go and get another hobby. Do not come in this field. You've done a lot of hard work to get your money. If you cannot learn discipline, then this is not for you. I'm sorry, but this is the hard truth.
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful truth. I think, and it applies to any sort of investment, right? And I would say that it applies to any field. If you're going to, take a class on AI, or if you're going to invest in stock, or you're going to invest in land, or you're going to, learn more about retirement, opportunities, or you have to be disciplined. And even when you're trying to make money, right? Even if you're really young in your career, and you're just starting out your career, the point is, if you want wealth creation, you have to be disciplined with your money, right? Would you agree,
Yes.
Jyoti and Nargis? Like, you have to be disciplined with your money, and you have to know what you're allocating for what purpose. And you have to, and I think there's like so many books about this topic, and so many resources on this topic. And so, ladies, these two ladies are Nargis and Jyoti are truly a wealth of information and resources to help us get ahead. The only thing that I hope and pray is that this talk would have again given you some more curiosity on these topics, and that because it's very easy to just put the blinders on, keep working, just put the when we have our free time, we're busy watching reels, busy watching movies or Netflix, or finishing off the next Netflix episode, like back to back episodes, but that does not help us move forward in any of our fields. Yeah, go ahead, Nargis.
Hey Priya, can I add something here?
Yeah.
The way we used to do things when we were growing up and now, so we are still learning about investments. But it's not true for the younger generation. The teenagers today are very good stock market traders. Many of the influencers on Twitter or other social medias like Instagram and everything are very, very young kids. A lot of them are under 20 and a lot of them are under 25. And there's a guy who does spaces very well. He has a finance degree and he has done He does these conferences, spaces, and connects companies and all. He's a very young guy of under 25, but you will not feel, and he's running a very good, successful company. And there are teenagers who are so they have very fast fingers. They think very this thing, and the decision making is very fast. So if you have younger kids, start giving them information and knowledge and exposing them to the finance world, what it means to buy a house, what it means to invest in stock market, or invest in housing or the world economies, how to read a news, how to interpret a news. That will really really help them. These things are not taught in school, but today the world has changed, and it shouldn't be the way we grew up. It shouldn't start late like it did for us. Today, 25-year-old is, already a $500,000 worth.
Many 25-year-olds. I wouldn't say
Yeah.
all of them, but there are many.
Yeah, many 25 years old, yes.
And it's not too late for us either, because it's
Yes, yes.
it's not too late for us to educate ourselves and I think uplift our the rest of our our time here, right? And that is, and I know that there's many people who will be watching this who are going to be more in their 20s and 30s, and I think this is a message for them too, because not everybody is in the finance world and not everyone is understands
Interested
or
also.
has taken interest. Exactly, has taken interest. And I think the message here is really take interest in it. Yeah, go ahead, Jyoti. I know you were trying to say something. Oh, you're muted.
No, like I agree, same thing here, because all this information is not taught in school and colleges. So it's definitely because again, we all learned the hard way, right? So we paid the cost of waiting or cost of when you learn all this, So that is very, very important. That how can we educate everyone to be more proactively making proactive decisions. Yeah.
Any other questions, you guys? And if you want to learn anything about land investing and taking, giving loans and, basically getting that mailbox money, definitely come and talk to me. Mailbox money is a nice way of, making an additional $1,000 a month or making an additional $2,000 a month when you do nothing. And for the next 5 years, if you get an additional $2,000 a month, are you going to say no to that? Right? It's so it's a nice way to get into land and understand how the land market works as well. The United States has a lot of land, a lot of majority of the United States empty land. So it's a way of putting money down and basically making without you directly owning the land, without you doing anything with the land, you're enabling someone else's dream and you're basically getting something for you to some extra money to go into your bank account every month.
Absolutely. And also, yeah, definitely reach out to me if you have any questions for, diversifying in the market, like the index contracts, if you want to know how to invest into the index contracts by locking in your gains and not participating in the down market, definitely. And also the tax strategies, how, because at 65, you want to make sure if all my portfolio is in the tax deferred, then how am I going to be in the lowest tax bracket? How can I diversify my tax portfolio? So, if any kind of questions you may have, just reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to guide you.
And it's great. I love that slide you showed, Jyoti, where you showed what the historical tax percentage was. And I don't think anyone quite understands that. Those of us who've come from outside, I don't think we quite know that the tax percentage was 95%.
Yes.
Just not that long back. It's 95%. If 95% of our income goes into tax, what are we left with?
That's what I say. Like at 65, if I'm paying 94 cents out of my dollar, am I really ready to retire?
Yeah, exactly.
No, I don't think so, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And with the national debt going on, I don't know, right?
Yeah.
So exactly, like if I'm giving you 100,000, hey, Priya, take this 100,000 and use it however you want to use it. But when I need it, I'll let you know the interest on it. Would you borrow that from me? No, right? But that's exactly what we are doing. Like whenever the IRS is going to lay the taxes, we are going to pay the taxes on it.
Yeah.
That we don't have any choice, right?
So this is an emergency. This is actually an emergency without anyone telling you it's an emergency. Excellent. If there's no more questions, we can close now. And thank you, ladies. Any more questions? No. So thank you, ladies. It was wonderful to hear from you. Any closing thoughts, Nargis and Jyoti?
No, I think it was wonderful talking to all of you, and happy holidays. Enjoy your time with family, and let's empower each other.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
I'm so glad that this was our last talk of the year, because this allows everyone in this talk to to make those resolutions for next year, right? Make those New Year's resolutions to educate and empower yourself when it comes to finances. So
Yes.
Yes, take time. Again, happy holidays to everyone. But in the holiday time, sit down, pause, relax, and analyze what are your thoughts for your future, and try to make those important decisions for yourself.
yes.
Do not make the resolution that will vanish in the first 2 months.
Yep.
Right? Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Happy holidays. Have a wonderful new year. See you next year. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.